We got together with Pastor Chris and Pastor Stephen on Thursday to just go in after the presence of God and try to pen lyric and melody. And after a couple of hours, it just felt like the presence of God just stopped everything. And we wrote a song called The Blessing. And it's straight from Scripture. And it's the heart of the Father over us as his kids. And we're gonna sing it this morning if that's okay. And this is a blessing over you and your family and your children. So just receive this morning. Just put your hands out in front of you. Turn your heart to a place of just receiving the blessing of heaven from God himself over you this morning.
That introduction. Thank you, Brother Ben, Mamzodwa. I really appreciate this. I do not take it for granted. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you to the leadership for Partners for Life for trusting me to be able to speak. But we thank God for the Holy Spirit that gives us direction and wisdom. So this afternoon, we're going to discuss commitment. Commitment, the word commitment. It's a big word, and we're looking at commitment in marriage. What is commitment as far as marriage is concerned? So I say that as far as marriage is concerned, commitment is this unwavering allegiance to a relationship and a partner. It is a decision that one makes that you will continue with the relationship regardless of what happens. Commitment is an intention to maintain a relationship over time. So if I can say it in my own words, I would say commitment is a glue that actually keeps a relationship looking good despite things being not good sometimes inside of it. Now, when it comes to commitment, there are two parts to it. And I'm going to share some slides with you. I hope that you will be able to see them. Thank God to Brother Blessing's, inspiration with technology. I managed to figure it out. So I'm just going to share a presentation with you. All right, can we see?
Perfect, Pastor Mary.
So there are two parts. Okay, thank you. So there are two parts to commitment. And the first part is personal dedication. What is this personal dedication? This is the motivation to prioritize the relationship and link personal goals with another. It fuels putting forth best efforts for the marriage and increases willingness to sacrifice personal interests for your partner's warfare. Now, this happens in a non-abusive relationship whereby you just make that decision to sacrifice for your partner's warfare. And then the second part of it is constraint. What is this constraint? Now, constraint, this is what keeps people together during low points in a marriage. Examples of constraints that keep people together when going gets tough are children, maybe shared finances, shared households, legal contracts. It can be religious imperatives or the accumulation of investments that one has put into a relationship over a long period of time. Two parts to commitment. Then, what are the forms of commitment? Well, when it comes to forms of commitment, there are basically different forms. Number one, it can be moral commitment. So you find that people can be committed for moral reasons. These are the couples that typically have religious beliefs or social norms that compel them to stay in their marriage. They can feel a sense of duty. Excuse me. Just a minute. They can feel a sense of duty, be concerned about how a divorce would be judged by others, or feel obligated to follow the guidelines of their religion. So for moral commitment, they just stay. And then the second part is practical or structural commitment, which results from an intermingling of resources. So married couples pool money together, other material positions, they have children, and they establish a social life together. In doing so, their lives can become entangled to such an extent that it can be easier to stay in a relationship than to leave it. And then the third one is personal commitment. Personal commitment, which differs from the other two, is that it has an emotional component to it. So personally committed partners see their relationships and their emotional bond as the most important thing in their lives. And they stay married because they want to, not out of necessity or sense of responsibility. Personal commitment is the one that really matters as far as I am concerned. So both moral and structural commitment, external factors have to keep this marriage together. Partners believe that they have got no choice but to stay married regardless of whether or not they are happy. Now, this type of commitment, yeah, you can say, oh, it's nice, they're committed, they're staying together. Really, they're staying together not because they're connected to one another, but because of something else. Now, staying together for the sake of children or other obligation is a dedication, yes, but you also want to be happy in a relationship. You don't just want to stay there. So true commitment goes further than loyalty and responsibility. It is cemented by duty, trust, friendship, hard work, and the long-term vision for the relationship. True commitment is rewarding and it brings you closer to each other so that you want to be in that marriage, not because you feel you have to. Now, while moral and structural commitment may keep a marriage intact, they don't affect how partners feel about each other. Morally and structurally committed partners are dedicated to their marriage, but not necessarily to each other. So we might not work as hard as we could to make our partners happy and to make the marriage a happy one. Furthermore, because we are committed to the idea and not the person, we might not feel the need to express much interest or affection for our spouses. So the emotional aspect of personal commitment enhances our marriage because it directs how we feel about our partner, and how we feel about them regulates how we treat them. The Bible tells us in 1 Corinthians 13 that love always protects. What does it mean? That means I've got to be in a position to protect my partner, not only physically, but also emotionally. And sometimes emotionally protecting my partner is as important as giving that physical protection. So if somebody speaks badly about Mr. Mulenga, no matter who it is, am I able to defend him? Am I able to speak positively to protect him? When a family member speaks ill of him, do I step in and speak up? Do we speak positive regardless of whether our partner is wrong or you agree with what people say? What do we say? Are we together? Personally committed partners tend to think of each other in a positive light. How can we be emotionally committed to another person if we don't think favorably of them? As a result, they tend to work hard to keep their relationship on solid ground. In conflicts, they try to diffuse the situation. They are partners for life. So they do everything to try and protect that marriage. So commitment is very important. Why is it important? Because it means something. It means that you have made a decision to work through hard stuff and that you are not going anywhere. It means that you can be counted on It means that you do whatever it takes to maintain a strong relationship. It means that you invest love, affection, respect, and trust in it. And the fourth type of commitment is love, which is not covered in this presentation. Now, we come to the functions of commitment. Commitment has its functions in a relationship. Number one, commitment influences behavior. It keeps people thinking of ways to protect and to preserve the relationship over the long term. It fuels constructive response to negative partner behavior. Do you have your partner's spouse? Do you have your partner's back? Do you have your spouse's back? I ask you. Are you protective? If someone calls you and tells you they saw your husband or your wife with someone else and they were really looking comfortable, how do you respond? I want to go back to the screen. Where am I? There. So if somebody calls you and says they saw your husband or your wife with someone else, how do you respond? Women, somebody says, yeah, I saw your husband with this chick. How do you respond? Do you ask, oh, how was she looking? What was she dressed like? Think about it. I'm sure this sounds familiar. Because if somebody calls me and says, oh, I saw your husband seated in a restaurant with this other woman, no matter how inquisitive I am inside, I would try by all means not to show that person because I don't even know why this person is phoning me. So my response would be, oh, all right, yeah, he told me he was actually going to have lunch with a work colleague. That's my response. Even though inside I really want to know who is this sister that he was actually having lunch with. So that I cut off that conversation by protecting Joy and saying, oh, yeah, I know, yeah, he mentioned a lunch or breakfast, whatever it is. When I get home, I'm gonna ask him, so who's this person you are having lunch with or breakfast with? I'm asking Joy. I am not fueling the conversation with the person that told me. And if my family says, oh, you know, your husband said this and that, or maybe it is his family that says, your wife said this and this. Joy is the one who knows me. So he should be able to say, yeah, that sounds like her. He can say that to them, but he won't say that because it's negative. They are saying something which is negative about me. Joy's response can be, no, there must be a miscommunication or misunderstanding because I know my wife. So he's protecting me, but he knows me. So when we get home, he can then say, when I protected you, it's you. You said this, even though I covered you. That is what protecting each other is all about. You know, you are committed to covering and protecting your spouse. So I ask you again, do you have your spouse's back? We go back to the slide presentation. Amen. Where are we? Okay, so number 2. So we have said commitment influences behavior because the partnership of marriage is such that when something or someone hates my husband, it also hates me. Me and Joet are together in marriage. We are cleaved together. So Joet's heart becomes my heart. Number 2, commitment keeps people from thinking of other options they could have chosen. Other options they could have chosen. So all 3 forms of commitment that we have talked about, they've got they suppress major threats to a relationship, a belief that there are other options. We are referring to holding on to thoughts that there is a better way for you to live, either with someone else or another lifestyle. We are human beings. Sometimes we can think, oh, I should have. Are you one that tends to think I should have? So making a decision to commit to someone is a decision to not commit to someone else. The root of the word decide is associated with cutting off, implying cutting ties to an alternative decision. Options, having options or alternatives, these can be harmful to a relationship. They can affect you and your partner because now you think you've got options. You don't see the reason to actually be committed to work onto this relationship because you think anytime you can jump and go somewhere else. Are we together there? Number 3, commitment feeds a desire to persist on the chosen relationship path, even when something is difficult. So in every relationship, we've got moments of boredom, frustration, hurt, unpleasant emotions. That's expected. I mean, it is two people who have been brought up differently, different backgrounds, different parents, different way of doing things. Now you are committed. You are together 24/7. You are in each other's face. Every marriage will have challenges. It will have stumbling blocks, but commitment is the glue that will help you to stay together. When you are facing storms, you will think of ways of how you are going to fight this storm, not fighting one another. So you can see that the mountain is too big. You try and find ways of how are we going to climb this mountain. You refocus, you realign yourself to make sure that you and your partner are on the same page. Number 4, commitment provides a backdrop for secure attachment, reducing attachment anxiety. Now, attachment security is at the heart of a relationship. You want to feel secure. You are attached to this relationship and you are secure. So you have got to feel that the person that you're in this relationship is committed and you are both fulfilling one another. You build yourself. Now, let's look at how we can maximize commitment. Maximizing commitment. How can we maximize commitment? They say, look for ways to sacrifice. Who wants to sacrifice in a relationship? But they say, look for ways to sacrifice. So sacrifice is a huge signal for commitment. Seeing a partner sacrifice for you builds trust in your relationship. In a good marriage, sacrifice also increases the good feelings in the partner who is sacrificing. A small sacrifice can be more helpful than large ones. Because when people go all out, they tend to keep score about whether the spouse is matching the sacrifice or not. So me, I did this for you yesterday. So you, what are you gonna do? We tend to do that, you're keeping score. Personal commitment can also be strengthened by positive actions. What are positive actions? Buy flowers every now and then. Do something for your partner, man. Don't wait for your partner to tell you to do this for them. You know exactly what they like. So do something. You express caring and affection. You know, that is what it is about. What is it that your spouse likes when they come from work? What is it that they appreciate? Think about it. When was the last time you just did something for them without them asking you? We are all humans, eh? It reminds me of myself. The other day, I said, so my husband gets up and breakfast is made. I'm waiting to be invited to this breakfast table. And I'm not being invited to this breakfast table. So now people are not calling me. No, they've put breakfast aside because I was fast asleep. And according to them, I was even snoring. So they didn't think that I wanted to get up. So I said, people just didn't want to call me to make sure that I sit with you. Me, when I make breakfast, I make sure everyone is up. So anyway, that's just me. But anyway, there was a reason why I didn't join the table. And then the next one is manage alternative monitoring. So alternative monitoring is what happens when people see other potential partners, begin imagining what life would be like with those people instead. You know, some couples may entertain alternative monitoring without even being aware of it. For example, you have a disagreement with your spouse, and then you say it out. I don't like this. We shouldn't be together. We should actually divorce. You can say that in the heat of the moment. That is alternative monitoring. You are thinking that there is a way out, and the way out is divorce. Sometimes people think that because they're attracted to someone else, they can actually go and have a relationship with that other person. Well, we were built to be attracted to each other. This is how we get married. This is how our species continues on. But if you are committed to someone else, you should consider adjusting how you think about your partner and your relationship. So you can simply dismiss the thoughts of being with someone else. If that thought comes, you should be able to tell yourself, no, I'm fine where I am. Or maybe a woman sees a man that looks, you know, what is it? Is it the six-pack or whatever it is that you see, and you think, oh, this guy is good. You can tell yourself, oh, well, he looks good, but he's probably not as kind as my husband. So you bring the positive, the things that you see in your husband that is positive, you say it out to yourself. Or a man sees a woman and says, oh, she looks good. Oh, well, she looks good, but probably she is not as good a mother or as loving as my wife. So you tell yourself, you bring the positivity of your partner into play. Then, number 3, they say consider signaling commitment. What is signaling commitment? Signaling commitment is whereby there is a signal. What is a signal? A research was done in which people were asked what is a sign or a signal of commitment in their relationship. Majority said the ring. So that is signaling commitment. What signal should we give each other to show that we are committed? So every time this signal comes into play, it reminds me that I'm committed to my husband. And number 4, continue to dream and to make future plans. Continue to dream and to make future plans. Commitment is us with a future. So commitment is much more than never cheating on your spouse. Commitment is a choice that you make every day to be a part of something that is bigger than yourself. Both partners need to be committed to the relationship, to each other's goals, to the goals of their marriage. Commitment should be your top priority. Oh, well, at this stage, we are going to take a 5-minute break. The 5-minute break is actually for me to drink water. But for the rest of you out there, there is something that you need to do. 5 minutes. This is what you are going to do. You've got pen and paper, I believe. So on that piece of paper, this is what you are going to do. Write down 3 small things you know you can do that your partner would appreciate. 3 small things you know you can do that your partner would appreciate. The second thing is write out what you want to be doing in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years to keep focused on the long term. So you might not have what you'll be doing in the next 10, 20 years, but tell us in the next 2, 5 years, what is it that you're going to be doing? So we've got 5 minutes. I believe the time is 20 to 5. We're gonna be back at Brother Blessing.
At quarter to 5, 16:45.
Thank you, thank you.
Where
so
are you
let's
going to get this water, Pastor Mary?
Ah?
Where are you going to get this water from? Who went? 5 minutes.
Please, my pastor, leave me alone. I want you to write down. So write down. Me, I've already. Right. Thank you. I think I need my. Is everyone back? We can carry on.
Thank you, Pastor Mary. Yes.
Is everyone back? Can we carry on?
Yes, I think you can, Pastor Mary.
All right, so people have written down their actions. So now I just want to share some practical tips for commitment. Let me get to my presentation again. All right, this is where we are. Practical tips for commitment. Steps number one, make your relationship a priority. So how important is your relationship to you? How much time have you spent with your partner recently? What specific things have you done to protect your friendship? Does your partner know that you are committed? How can you show each other that you are committed to this marriage? So number one, make your relationship a priority, step number one. Step number two, both of you should get a pen and paper. Make a list of 5 categories: money, work, marriage, entertainment, and friends. So money, work, marriage, entertainment, and friends. So you've written down these 5 things. Now, these 5 things, number each item according to what you think your partner's priorities are. Not yours, but your partner. Your partner's priority are. So is number one on the first, number one is the first on your partner's priorities. This you can talk about it later on. So you will swap and you talk about how you listed this, and then just look at how can you, sacrifice. What changes can you make? What changes can you make to show more interest in your partners? Swap your list and talk about the changes that you can make in your lives to make your commitment even stronger. So what sacrifice can I make? If friends is number one on my list, can I change it to number 5? Think about it. Step number 3, get rid of all forms of infidelity, including pornography and relationships with colleagues or friends that have a romantic element to them. Get rid of all forms of infidelity. You know, these ones, they cause unbelievable damage to your unit. Ask yourself, when was the last time I flirted with my spouse? Because you're supposed to be flirting with him or her. If you're attracted to someone else, limit your contact with that person. Limit your contact with that person. We tend to develop relationships with the opposite sex and we start complaining about our spouses to that person. That is very, very dangerous. Close that relationship. If anything, delete that person from your phone. They should actually not even exist. Step number 4, show a bit of initiative during the day to make your partner feel special. Whether your marriage is rock solid or a bit wobbly, make time to spend time together. Always work on staying committed to your marriage. Everyone is busy these days, but spend quality time together as often as possible. Celebrate others' success and support each other through thick and thin. Finally, strengthening your level of commitment. Strengthening your level of commitment. Another important aspect of commitment is that it must be made or remade on an ongoing basis. So there is more to it than just saying you are committed to your marriage or simply feeling good about your relationship. Commitment must be played out in your actions. Instead of following yourself to drift or allowing yourself to drift away from your spouse, make a deliberate move toward closer relationship. Move closer to your spouse. Strengthen and nourish your marital commitment. Pray, seek God. He will help you through your marriage. Spend time being honest, and telling God how you feel. Ask him to show you how to love or what he wants you to do in this relationship. Say it with actions. Let your behavior reflect your commitment. Make yourself available when your spouse wants to talk. Most of the times we don't have time to talk with our spouses. Spend time alone with your spouse. Laugh together. Date each other. Plan your future together. Build hedges where necessary to guard against any external temptations and distractions. Say it with words. Tell your spouse that you are committed to your marriage for the rest of your life. Let your kids know that you and your spouse are committed to each other through thick and thin. Remind yourself of all the positive aspects of your relationship. What do you love about your spouse? How has being married blessed you? How has marriage made you grow? What are you thankful for? Ask God to bring these things to your mind. Make a list if you have to and reveal them often. Set goals. How would you like to see your marriage grow? What areas would you like to see improve? Map out a game plan to achieve these goals and work towards them. Seek outside help if necessary. Get others involved. Now, when I'm saying get others involved, I'm not saying go now on 702, go on CNN, no. Surround yourself with supportive individuals who share your values and want to see your marriage succeed. Form accountability partners. Seek out an elderly married couple to mentor you and your spouse. They are there, they are waiting for you. Go public. What does it mean? Renew your wedding vows. Publicly express your continued commitment to your spouse. Invite friends and loved ones to pledge their support for your marriage. That is going public. In conclusion, stop sharing, there we are. In conclusion, commitment is a choice. You can't make a marriage work without commitment. As your marriage can't grow and flourish without commitment. So where do you start from? You ask, how do I do this? If you're on the brink of getting married, you need to do a lot of introspection to make sure that this is what you really want and that you are prepared for the work that goes into having a committed marriage. Once you have decided that this person and marriage are what you want, you need to commit to it for life. If you're already married, you will know that commitment is a choice that you make every day. You wake up and choose to love your partner and give him or her the support, the time, the care, and the encouragement that he or she needs on a daily basis. Your emotions and feelings will deepen, and although there will be times when being in love will feel like a lot of effort and work, Marriage and commitment are a choice that you will get, that will get you through all the tough times. A relationship is something that you must work on, and it takes care as well as effort if you want your marriage to blossom and grow. A beautiful flower gets more beautiful when it's taken care of, when it's nourished. So the same thing applies to a marriage. It's my perception that in our individualistic society, commitment in marriage is diminishing, which is unfortunate because the types of stable relationship fostered by commitment are ideal for raising children. If people understood it better, they might be more intentional in their long relationship. With that said, thank you so much for listening to Pastor Mary. I pray that you have learned something. Thank you for listening, and believe I'm going to be taking some questions from people, but before that, there were some questions that were already sent to me that I would like to go through. Let me close this presentation now. Yes. All right, so please let's get some questions together, but let me just answer the few that I already received. The first one that was sent to me. Excuse me, sorry, noise, please. The first question that I was given was, based on your experience in counseling couples, what can be considered to be the key elements that are fundamental in pursuing a lifelong commitment in marriage? What can be considered to be the key elements that are fundamental in pursuing a lifelong commitment in marriage? Well, I believe the first one is love and commitment. So love is a decision that you choose to be committed to another person. Love is the foundation of every relationship. I choose to love this man, Joet. That is number one. So if there is no love, I will not be able to stay in the relationship. Number two, we're looking at the fundamental elements. Number two, I would say sexual faithfulness. So when it comes to sexual faithfulness, I'm not just talking about sex in bodies, but I'm talking about my mind being connected to his mind, our eyes, our hearts, all right? So that is number two. And then humility. Humility, we all have weaknesses. We are human beings. We are not perfect. But I believe that in a relationship, the ability for one to admit when they have done wrong, the ability to admit when you have made a mistake is very, very important. It becomes difficult when one is not able to admit their mistakes. You know, let's just say, apologize when we make mistakes. So the third one is patience and forgiveness. So patience is very, very important. Forgiveness. So in a relationship, when one is not forgiving, it becomes difficult for that relationship to flourish. And I mean, how do we ask God for forgiveness when us, ourselves, we are not able to forgive one another? Patience, am I patient? If Joet has done something wrong, do I want to see change there and then, or am I patient to see that, you know, change is going to gradually come? How do I respond to that? And then being selfless, you know, I should be able to, meet his needs first before it's me and me alone, you know. So I shouldn't rush at making sure that me, I've got this, and me, I'm happy. Am I making sure that he's happy? Communication. Are we talking honestly and openly to each other? Those are the things that I can think of. The second one was, how does one stay committed in an unhappy relationship? Hey, that is full of challenges. So how does one stay in a relationship? It is full of challenges. I am not happy. How do I stay in this relationship? Oh, well, I stay in the relationship full of challenges because I respect God's word that says in Malachi 2, verse 16, it says, I hate divorce. God is one that encourages reconciliation, the God that people reconcile. So I do my best to make sure that I am doing my part to do what is expected in this relationship. I pray for this man because I cannot change him. Only God can change him. What else? Yeah, I do my best, and that God is gonna just work on him and encourage him. And I seek help where I can get help to go through the challenges. And yeah, that's what I can think of. What else? The third question I received was, how do you deal with infidelity by one of the partners in a lifelong commitment? Shoo. Yeah, how do I deal with infidelity? So this man or this woman has cheated. How do I deal with it? Do I love this person? Am I able to forgive this person? If I'm able to forgive this person, are they sorry? Are they repentant? Because if they are not repentant, I think that marriage is going to be difficult. But if the person is actually showing repentance and the person is showing a change, turnaround time in their behavior, we can work on our marriage. Is the person willing to be patient, even when I don't believe that they have changed, because that is also needed on their part. The Bible says something in Matthew chapter, where is that scripture? The Bible talks about, I think is it Matthew 19, verse 8 or somewhere there, where Jesus was being asked about divorce. And then Jesus speaks about Moses allowed you, whatever, the Bible explains about hardness of heart. So if I cannot forgive this person, how am I going to stay in that relationship? It's not going to work out. My heart is hard. So can I stay? I can't stay in that relationship because I failed to forgive. So the person that has broken the trust relationship, the one who has committed sin, has got to be patient. They have got to show signs of repentance. They have got to really work hard in showing that they have changed their course. The other question that I was given was, how do you deal with a situation where one partner has a calling, part-time or full-time, to the ministry later in the marriage relationship? So one partner has got a calling, full-time or part-time. How do you manage this occurrence? Well, this, I think, it's almost like us, whereby I knew a long time ago that the Lord had called me into ministry. So I think if there is a calling on the one partner, it's important to discuss. Husband and wife need to discuss this. God is a God of order. He's not a God of confusion. So what happens is that if God has spoken to one person, calling them into ministry, you pray, and God will speak to the other person as well. That's what happened to us. Okay? You discuss, the two of you. What does it mean if you go into ministry? Because going into ministry is a sacrifice that one makes. There's time, there's financial sacrifices. Are we going to be able to get through this? If you are both not sure, rather wait until you are sure. The God that we serve is a God of order. He will actually speak to the both of you as time goes on. Okay, what was the other question? The other question was, what are the key threats to a lifelong commitment? Threats to a lifelong commitment. Threats, yeah, what are threats? Selfishness is one of them, whereby the one person is the one that gives and the other one doesn't give in. Marriage is a two-way street, I call it. You both have to work, you put into this relationship. One person cannot be giving, both sides have got to give. The other threat is laziness. You know, laziness is whereby the one person does not even bother to do anything. There's no working, there is no taking care of their health, they do nothing. You know, there is no energy that they put into the relationship. So the other partner actually feels abandoned. They are alone in this relationship. The other thing can be lust, you know, sexual desires. That's a threat, you know, into a lifelong commitment. Anger, bitterness, you know, not forgiving, holding on to, sins of the other person. Every time you go into a fight, you remind them of what they did in 1964, you know. But when now you go before God and you ask God to forgive, he does not even remind you of what you did. He forgives you, but you are quick to remind them, but you did this. Bitterness, envy, you know, where you admire somebody else's relationship, you are bringing somebody else's things into your relationship. Oh, this person's husband did this, or this wife to this person works so hard. Envy, you want to have things that you cannot have. That is also very bad to a relationship. Pride is, you know, where I don't take responsibility of my shortcoming. You know, I'm perfect, it's only my way and not your way, you know, things like that. And then also discontentment, where you are not happy with where you are, you are not comfortable, you feel like you should be with someone else or whatever. Those are threats to a lifelong commitment. And then the last question that I received was, relating to in-laws, is it good to discuss issues as they arise, or wait until you have a number of problems? Relating to in-laws. So you and your spouse have got issues, and now you want to know whether you should run to the family or whether you must wait until you've got a bag full of stuff. Well, I would say, first of all, it's always nice to consult non-relatives, seek godly counsel. We've talked about having people that will mentor you, accountability partners. So if you are able to approach those people, why am I saying approach other people? Because then there is no bias. You know, when it comes to blood, there tends to be some bias. Though sometimes there are times where one has got no choice but to seek family regarding to problems, I would say instead of me running to my parents with our problems, I would rather go to Joet's family with our problems. So I remember my late mom telling me when I was getting married to say, oh, well, now you're married, you've gone into this family. Once you fight, please don't come and speak to us about your issues. I thought, sure, how can she tell me that? She qualified and she said, once you come and tell us what's happening in that relationship, all the wrongs that he's doing, we will always remember what he has done, and we will not look at him the same way that we are looking at him right now. But if you go to his side of the family, he is their blood, you know, find someone there, you tell them, this is what your brother has done. That is their blood. You know, they will know how to deal with him, but us, we will always remember that the two of you are going to be able to make up and everything is fine, but us will always remember what he did to you. So first of all, seek godly counsel before you can run to your family members. Those are the questions that I had received.
Thank you very much, Pastor Mary, for the very insightful message, and also for answering those questions. There are a few more questions which have come on the chat. The first one is, how do you help people who are stubborn on both ends and have got convincing arguments from a different perspective?
So these two people are both stubborn. They are both sitting in cloud 9. Nobody wants to come down. Really, there's going to be an explosion. You cannot, both of you, be sitting in cloud 9. Really, for such a couple, my prayer is that one of you really needs to calm down. You know, love is all about sacrifice. You sacrifice. Somebody has got to be able to come down from cloud 9 and meet the other person. You will not be able to resolve if both of you feel it's my way, I'm the one who is right. The only way is for one of you to actually come down and meet the other person. Stubbornness is just going to destroy your marriage. Remember, we serve a God of humility. God loves humility. So when you are humble, God comes into that situation. If you are going to remain there stubborn, God basically just folds his arms and looks at the both of you because your hearts are not right. Why are you both stubborn? Why is one of you not willing to come down and meet the other person? That's my answer.
Thank you, Pastor. The other one, in the example of protecting your spouse that you gave, if your spouse defends you, according to the example you gave, knowing what they were talking about is true, wouldn't that be lying? Where's the line?
Hey, I love that. It's lying. Hey, it's lying. So they defended you. They are trying to protect you. Okay. So they have said it's a misunderstanding. They didn't say, no, it's not true. It's not true. They said it's a misunderstanding. I would leave it at that. Okay. Me, that's the way I would defend it. I've said it's a misunderstanding. They might actually be right. It's just a misunderstanding. When I go back and the spouse actually explains and you find that it's a misunderstanding, well, it is a misunderstanding.
Thank you, Pastor.
All right.
Yes, thank you, Pastor. The next one is, how do you deal with a partner who views commitment as desperation that makes them take you for granted because they feel that you are not going anywhere?
Commitment as desperation because you are not going anywhere. You know, we live in a world that is fallen, full of, being selfishness and so forth and so forth. you know, for someone to feel that this person is desperate and they are not going anywhere. So that means that that person is not in that relationship with their whole heart, isn't it? Because the one person is saying, I'm in this for marriage. The other person feels they're just here because they're not going anywhere. They don't love that person. I would actually seek counsel so that we meet each other somewhere, because this relationship is actually one-sided. The other person is not committed at all. I wouldn't just sit on it. I would actually seek counsel so that the other person can see what marriage or the relationship is all about, what commitment is all about. That person cannot stay there forever. They are bound to get out of that relationship. So I wouldn't sit on it. I would actually seek counsel.
Thank you.
Thank you. The other question we have, somebody's asking for a friend. What do you do if you married the breadwinner and family has expectations?
Yeah, family thinks now the wife is keeping the wallet, you know? The wife is keeping the wallet. Oh my Jesus. You know,
Pastor Mary, you've just broken up, I think.
we are going to receive, okay?
Pastor
There's
Mary?
always been like that.
Pastor Mary,
Yes, yes.
maybe if you can just
Yeah.
start again. I'm not sure if everybody heard. You broke up a little bit just as you started answering that question.
Okay, I said, okay, we are talking about in a relationship where one is a breadwinner and suddenly there is marriage. So things have changed. The family is not receiving as much as they were receiving, or maybe they are not even receiving anything. So now the other spouse is to blame. You know how the wife is keeping the wallet? From now, it's like our son cannot send us any money. This is why when it comes to marriage, you know, when you are getting married, okay, you as a man, you need to sit down also with your family and explain what it means. Because remember now, you are going to have a family of your own. So priorities are going to change. But you cannot withdraw support just there and then. You and your life partner have got to be able to share this. Remember, as we are getting married, we also need to understand one another's financial commitment. How much money is coming in this house and how much money is leaving this house. So if on my list, okay, it shows that every month I am sending, 2,000 rand to my family. My partner needs to understand, why am I sending this money? For how long are we going to support my family with that 2,000 rand? Can we manage, or can we help our family? Okay, can we help this family come up with a way that they can be able to sustain themselves? Because as time goes on, this couple is also going to have children of their own. There's educational fees, there's other things. So you can't continue sustaining the family. The two of you have got to find a way whereby you can help the family to be able to sustain themselves. And also, when it comes to helping family, here, let me say, you don't just help you don't just give money to one side of the family, unless the other side of the family, they actually sleep on millions, that they don't need help. But you have got to agree. How much are we giving to our families? Okay, for how long are we going to do this? So that breadwinner, okay, person, it's not up to now the wife to go and tell Bomalume to say, now we have stopped sending to you. The son, if it's the daughter, has got to be able to speak to the family in a respectable way. And moreover, if the family is not even happy that you have stopped supporting them, that means you have not been honest with them to tell them what it means. Now that I'm getting married, these are our financial commitments. We have sat down, she has this, I've got this is how we are going to do it. Communication, that's the only way.
Thank you. Next one is there a way that can be used quickly to assure your partner of your commitment, which you truly have, when the demands of work and the work in your calling at church are somewhat overbearing on you?
Quickly, a quick fix. Read the question again.
Exactly. It's saying, what's a quick way to assure your partner of your commitment when you truly are, and then there are all these external factors which are overbearing on your time?
Look, relationship requires sacrifice as time is concerned. Really, communicate. You have spoken about your commitments. So on talking about commitments, time for your partner should actually be there. None of the commitments at work or ministry whatsoever should be sitting on top. Their family is important. It is first there. So I cannot be so much committed to all my other activities and then my family is actually suffering. I have got to make sure that there is time for my family, regardless of when it is. That's my commitment. I am one person that is also busy, but I've decided every day from so much time to so much, that is my family commitment. And they understand that. There are rare times that I would be able to attend to phone calls or any other thing after a certain time, because that's my commitment. All right?
Thank you.
There's another one. The person is going through a rough patch, and there's currently separation. So they would like to know, is living apart a part of reconciliation good for marriage? And then there's also the second part of the question where there are things that have been said and that have built resentments, because the person feels that when you tell a person that your behavior will drive him to have an affair, so those kind of talks leave the resentments within the other spouse. How do I address this without emotions and stay committed? So there's two parts.
Okay, so the first part, the first part is the one about separation, whereby the two people are staying separate. Look, it's my opinion. I've never really agreed on separation, so I don't know how the people came to a conclusion that they should stay apart. In my experience, I've seen that when people separate, it normally becomes very difficult to come back. You know, we used to be, I don't know if the people still sit, you know, when we were growing up, as ladies or whoever prepared us in those days for marriage, they would say, you stay regardless of what happens. It's always been that's my thinking, that once one person leaves the house to go and live somewhere else, it's very difficult to come back. There is a temptation of somebody else moves into the house. How do you go into the house because you actually left? So I don't know what conditions led to them staying separately. I would actually encourage them not to stay separately for a long time. If at all they can be able to get back together, they must get back together and seek help while living under the same roof. The second part to the question about bad things being said, really, when somebody is threatening you with they'll have an affair or they're going to another relationship because of this and that. Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
They're saying, oh, yeah, because, okay, I'll give an example. Oh, well, you don't cook well, so I would rather go and find somebody else who can cook for me better. That's just a silly example. For one to alter those words, for words to come out of mouth. Remember, in my presentation, I talked about alternative monitoring, where you think you've got options. That is not right. You are actually blackmailing your friends to say, because of this, I'm going to do that. You know, instead of us working through our problems. So that means your mind, you are not really into this relationship. Your leg is already halfway out because you think you can be happy with somebody else. And you have actually said it. It is very unfair. Remember, words, once they come out of your mouth, you cannot take them back. That's why in your anger, be careful that you do not sin. We don't sin against our partners by saying things that are going to cause more damage to the relationship. That is wrong. The only thing I can say is, yes, you already heard those words, whoever has sent this question, you heard those words, they're already spoken. It's difficult. You cannot forgive on your own, but you ask God to help you to forgive. The pain that you feel right now when you remember those words might be so deep, but once you ask God to help you to be able to forgive and live past these words, God has always been faithful to us. He will help you so that when you think about those words, you will not be feeling the pain that you feel right now. Ask God to help you to forgive and to live past those words. Avoid saying such things to each other. If you know that you are going to say things that are going to hurt your partner, rather walk away. I'm not saying walk away by getting out of the door and slamming the door. Tell your friends, really, I can't handle this. I think we would rather speak about this later on. And you walk away.
Thank you, Pastor Mary. The last question, in practical steps for commitment, when you have mentioned you need to get rid of friends and work friends. Nowadays, there's social media. How do you deal with a spouse that spends too much time on their phone and on social media?
Sure. The animal called social media, you know, I've dealt with so many issues pertaining to this so-called social media and the so-called smartphones with security PIN codes. Really, that person chatting on the phone with whoever they are chatting to, if they are chatting with someone of the opposite sex, they are actually having a relationship, okay, which is wrong. How you deal with it, you tell your partner, you have to speak about this. You tell them, this is disrespecting to me. And it is good to have accountability in the sense that if you are going to have a security code or PIN to the phone, make sure that your partner knows of it, or otherwise, why have a PIN to the phone when you can as well leave it open? In other instances, you find that, people are fast asleep. The other one is sitting with the phone, chatting. You need to bring order and discipline in the family. So there is no social media or there's no chatting on the phone from this time to this time. Accountability. Leave the phone open. No PIN codes. Finish and clear.
Thank you very much, Pastor Mary. That's the end of the questions list. I think somebody just made a comment in terms of the support mechanism that's available to support struggling relationships.
Well, this platform is one of this, support mechanism, Partners for Life. You have got so many, families, elderly people that you can actually turn to for help. You need to turn to people that you know that will mentor you. It's not every Jim and Jack that have got your best interest, at heart. So pray and let God direct you to the right couple that can help you. So I believe that our church is blessed in the sense that we can even have this. Here we are, Partners for Life, So we've got leaders that can help you. They know exactly who they work with. So depending on the age of the couple, they will definitely, direct you to the right couple that can help you. Not only that, even we've got our pastoral team that can also help you. If the pastoral team is not available, obviously they tend to leaders, lay ministers, elders, whoever, to help.
Thank you, Pastor Mary, for all those inspirational words during the session, and also to answering these questions with practical guidelines. I think we all needed, having structure in terms of addressing some of the challenges that we go through in marriage is actually quite powerful, and especially when it's in a godly manner. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'll hand over to Brother Blessing.
Thank you, Brother Tumelo. Thank you, Pastor Mary. Mom Zodwa, you can go ahead.
Let me take this opportunity, Pastor Mary, to thank you for this very fruitful session. Not only have you given us a good store of wisdom on this issue of commitment,
thank you,
very important in our marriages. You have given us a lot of things to think about, things that we have to work on even after this session. You have inspired us to pay more attention to very subtle issues in our relationships, and to realize that above all, God has to be in it, and we need to continuously work to enrich our marriages. We thank you so much for your sacrifice, for taking this time out to be with us this afternoon. May God bless you. And now we
thank you so much.
Okay, we are getting to the last session of our marriage challenge today, and I would like to hand over to Ben.
Good evening. Thank you again, Pastor Mary. Thanks for the teachings and the reminders on commitment. And dear family, the abundant marriage that God has designed for us is possible. And the journey starts with commitment. One of the things that Pastor Mary said was we should continuously renew our vows. I would like us to have a recommitment session, and a successful marriage has little to do with circumstances. It has everything to do with determination, taking away the word divorce, and commitment. So I will read a few statements. If you and your partner agree, please say we do. So are you ready? You do not have to unmute yourself. So here we go. Dear friends, do you commit yourselves to each other and to love each other throughout your lives?
We do.
Couples, do you commit to the following? Never to publicly hurt each other, to be faithful emotionally and sexually, to be honest, to never threaten to divorce, to love each other throughout your lives. Couples, do you now wish to renew those vows you made before God and each other in front of me? Okay, so I will start with men. My dear men, say this to your spouse. Here we go. My dearest love, in the presence of God and those gathered here, I reaffirm my commitment to you. I commit to be your best friend and that I will stand by your side every day. Whatever the future may bring, I will love you, I will honor you, and stand by you as long as we both shall live. Shall men say, I do? Okay, now I'm going to speak to the ladies. Ladies, can you please say this to your partner? I take you today not only as my love, but as my best friend and lover, my confidant, a shoulder to lean on when I need support. Today I pledge to be by your side, to be your strength when you are weak, never to leave you. I resolve to build my life and our family on a firm foundation of the faith in God and His Word. I promise to always see the best in you and to strive to become the best spouse I can possibly be. Amen.
Amen.
You may now kiss the bride. Okay, and the Bible says in Matthew chapter 19, for this reason, a man shall leave his father and his mother, and they will stick to his wife. The two will become one flesh, so that they are no longer two, but one flesh. So therefore, what God has put together, let no man put asunder. Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zara. Over to you.
Thank you. Let me hand over to Blessing to close this meeting for us.
Thank you, Brother Ben. Thank you, Mam Zodwa. Thank you, Pastor Mary. Really appreciate all the effort that you've put behind the scenes to get this session together. So really, a thank you on behalf of Partners for Life for everything that you've done. And as we just closing, a few comments about the exercises. The session has been recorded. If you want access to it, please just contact Ben on his. He's got the cell phone number on his on the flyers, and we'll send you the link, or we'll let you have the link to the session that we've recorded. And as we go through the week, as you've seen this session, as we go through the week next week, where you have questions regarding the exercises that have been issued, just send them through as well, so that we can prepare our speakers with those questions before the next session. Other than that, all that's left for me to say is have a good warm evening in this very cold Joburg winter evening. Thank you all very much, and see you next week for the third week of the Marriage Challenge.
Thank you so much, Blessing. I just need to point out one thing. This is part one for Pastor Mary. She will give us a part two at the later stage. Next week, we've got Pastor, our brother Martin Kaskas speaking. So thank you again.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.